Hello and welcome to the first in a new series, and this new series will be entitled Memory Card, where I will look back on my fond gaming memories from the past and some more recent ones as well. So let's think about it. First person shooters. Back in the days of the N64, there weren't an awful lot of good ones about. The odd dodgy port of Doom, and the even dodgier arcade port that was kicking around the game's consoles. So what then is the best? Which one stands out and really is the most fun to play? Well, to me, there's only really two that stand out. One of these is a James Bond movie license, and one is a unique IP. So, which then is the best? Well, for me, there isn't really too much of a contest, but for some, that might not be the case. They might not agree with me, but for me, I think the best was probably GoldenEye. Just. So, what was GoldenEye like? Why was it so good? Well, it took scenes from the movie and it turned them into levels, really, and fun levels as well. This wasn't just let's watch the film and try and play our way through some tediously boring version of it. Because that can often be the criticism with movie licenses. It's too similar to the movie and doesn't have any real creativity to it, or it's not enough like the movie and it takes too many liberties. But I think this game gets the balance just about right. You've got scenes from the film and you can play them out in missions. So when you start off a mission, you have this little manila folder appears on the screen. You have a screenshot of the level, and then below you have all the objectives you have to complete. It's fairly simple looking, but it still makes you kind of feel like you've got a mission folder in your hand. And floating around as you're selecting the files, you're selecting the missions, you've got this little gun crosshair. So it looks kind of almost like a point and click game in the menus. But thankfully this game is anything but a point and click game. For me, the controls are very nice, they're very smooth, they're very responsive. You don't have the usual thing nowadays where you've got two control sticks. Instead, you've got the control stick, you've got the C buttons, or you can use the D-pad. The nice thing about this, though, is that the guns you expect to find in the movie are there. So you've got your AK-47s and you've got your PPKs, but you also have some other fun little things thrown in as well from previous Bond movies. But I'll talk a bit about them in a minute. So, who made this game then? First of all, is it EA? No, thank goodness for that. It was actually done by a company called Rareware, or affectionately known as Rare. And they also made, for me, which is the second best game, which is Perfect Dark, but I'll talk about that in another movie. So, back to James Bond then. Okay, it is Bond, but he doesn't look a lot like Bond at all. It's just a guy of average height with black hair and the odd feature. Okay, it's not the best graphics in the world for his face, but it doesn't need to be. It just, as long as it resembled him in some way, shape, or form, it didn't really matter too much because you don't really see him that often. You're playing this game through his eyes. It's a first-person perspective, so really he doesn't really need to look that good. Really, maybe the enemies need to look a little bit better and look a bit more like people. But Bond, I think they could kind of get away with him looking just kind of, like I said, an average man with black hair and the odd feature. But of course, this game is different from a lot of other games in the first-person shooter genre. It doesn't take itself entirely seriously. There are some moments in this game where you think, why the heck have they done this? So, for example, you shoot a computer, it'll explode. It doesn't really happen in real life, does it? The screen will smash. It may catch fire, ish. if you've got an incendiary round, but in this game, the computers explode. Shoot the chairs explode. Shoot the table will explode. It's a rather strange thing to do, I know, but they've added it. Most folk would just, in games, we just have the chair fall apart and do something rather boring. Just turn into a pile of metal. But here the game developers decided, you know what, we'll do something a bit daft, a bit silly, a bit fun. And so, having that in mind, what other daft things have they done? Well, for a start, the guards. The guards act in kind of really weird manners, especially if you stand and watch them for long enough. So if they don't see you, they might start looking around. If there's a fly, they'll start shooting at the fly. I don't know why you would shoot at the fly, but they do. You can also shoot the people in the hands and they survive, which of course makes sense. And when the guards die, they fly back in this over elaborate kind of Matrix style. So rather than just fall down, as you kind of expect maybe in a Western movie, for example, they shoot somebody, bang, the bad guy goes down, he hits the deck, says some pithy line, and then pegs it. Whereas here, in this game, the guards go flying all over the shop. So it's nice to have a bit of a laugh, have a bit of a joke with this. There's cheats in this game. Okay, so why not? So if you complete certain levels in certain times and certain difficulties in certain times, you'll unlock a plethora of really stupid cheats and some really nice touches as well. So the daft ones include a big head mode called DK mode, paintball mode, because of course why not, which basically replaces all the blood with paint. So you can actually, if you want to, you can run around and shoot on the walls and paint the walls. Why you would want to, I don't know. But it's definitely a fun idea. And it takes away the seriousness of it. It's a bit weird thinking that James Bond's Walter PPK, instead of shooting bullets, is actually shooting paintballs. There's a few other fun ones as well. I think you can run quite quickly as well. But for me, my favourite one's the Moonraker laser. Nobody would think to find in GoldenEye the Moonraker laser, but in this game you can via cheat. There's also, I think, a very fun, really enjoyable multiplayer in this game. Usually there's the story feels tacked on, or the multiplayer feels shoehorned in. But here there's a nice blend. They fit together. There's the main missions, the solo missions, and then you've got the multiplayer. And the great thing about this multiplayer is there's a plethora of characters from the universe of Bond. You've got Bond himself, you've got Boris, and you've got the other classic characters from the film. But you've also got in this, you can unlock Oddjob. Yeah, of course, why not? Sadly, you can't throw the hat, but he's there. He still handles like all the other characters handle in the game, but heck, it's Oddjob. And when you load up as well, you see the camera revolves around the character, and then you zoom in to behind their head and you begin the action. And that's just a nice little touch, which you don't really see this often in modern games. There's usually, boom, there you go, off you go, have some fun, do something. So it's a nice little touch. You've also got plenty of maps to play in the multiplayer as well, and you can play it 4-player, as you would expect with a good N64 game. Sadly, not everyone can play as the same character, but why would you want to? There's also a few other little fun bits and pieces for the multiplayer. So in the multiplayer, you have the ability to choose what kind of weapons you have. So you can have rocket launchers, you can have, mines. And you can also play, from what I can remember, you can play Golden Gun mode. So yeah, The golden gun wasn't in GoldenEye. It was in The Man with the Golden Gun. But it's a nice little callback to this. Like I said before, it's one of these callbacks to previous Bond films, which I think is quite a nice little touch to have. So basic golden gun mode is just you shoot someone once and they're dead. So basically, be careful, be very careful. Um, as I alluded to, there's one cheat I forgot to mention, which I think is by far my favourite cheat of all, because it's just downright stupid, and that's enemy rockets. So basically, you replace your enemy's weapons with rocket launchers. So why is that funny? Well, like I said before, again, touching back to a previous comment, that if you leave the guards alone and watch them, they will shoot at flies. However, if you got a rocket launcher and shoot a rocket launcher at a fly, well, you probably won't hit the fly, but there's a good chance you'll hit a wall and you'll blow yourself up as well. And that's what they do, because they're that daft. And it's downright hilarious, because it makes the game funny, silly, and sometimes a bit hard as well, because you don't know what they're going to shoot. You may dodge a rocket, it hits the computer, blows the computer up, you fail the mission, and it's like, oh well, back to the start. But it's one of these things that games don't do nowadays. They don't do so much this, and if they do, it's a mod on a PC game that somebody in their bedroom has made. Whereas this cheat was made by the game developers. They've put it in the game, and it's there for you to enjoy. It's there for you to just to flick on and run around like a complete nutcase and watch as the guards accidentally blow each other up. It's just hilarious. And of course, you can put all these on as well. You can run the full gambit, and you can play the game with every cheat in the game on. Okay, there's a bit of slowdown because there's just rockets flying everywhere, and there's paintball effects, and there's people with massive heads. So there's a bit of slowdown, but it's still able to be done, and that's what I like about this game. It's fun, it's daft, but it's Bond, and it's Bond done well. It's not just here's another movie license game. We own the license to James Bond GoldenEye. Let's throw out a game. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed Memory Card, and I'll be back soon with another episode. Cheers for now. If you like the videos, hit subscribe, like, and of course there's the wee bell as well for notifications if you feel inclined. Okie doke, ciao for now.